Am I wrong for not telling my friend's wife that he is my sperm donor? I'm a 30-year-old asexual woman who is currently 33 weeks pregnant with twin girls that I conceived through IVF. I have always wanted children but never really considered them on the cards for me due to my sexuality, but now I'm in a position where I felt stable enough to bring a child into the world on my own, so I decided to go through IVF. My best friend since high school, 31 male, found out about my plan and how I was looking into finding a donor so it wouldn't be anonymous and I can find the medical history, etc. And he offered to be the sperm donor. At least I would know his medical history and any risk there would be attached. I agreed but made it very clear he wouldn't have a parental role in this child's life and at most he'd be an honorary uncle due to our friendship. He was happy to agree to this, and it never once occurred to me that he would offer this without running it by his wife first, 31 female. As some of you will likely be worried, I use an HFEA clinic, which is a legally licensed clinic, which means due to the paperwork signed when I underwent IVF, he has no legal right or obligations towards the babies, which is what both of us wanted going into this. The IVF was successful as my pregnant state proves, a little too successful perhaps as its twins. I recently took my friend and his wife out to dinner to thank them for doing this for me and celebrate being in the 3rd trimester, but his wife was confused when I explained the reason for the dinner and then angrily demanded to know why he kept this from her, and I was just as shocked and asked my friend if he hadn't told his wife. He tried to explain to both of us that he hadn't thought it mattered as he has no rights to the babies. His wife got even angrier at that part, stating she isn't comfortable with their son, 6 male, having siblings that aren't really his siblings, and she wants that part changed so that her husband has a legal say over the girls. I was in shock over this, but said I wouldn't be doing that as I wanted to raise them alone. The 3 of us got into a huge argument and his wife demanded to know why I wouldn't tell her that her husband had offered this in the first place. I feel really guilty for not checking with his wife first, but it honestly never occurred to me that he wouldn't have done that first, so I thought if he was offering, she'd have to already given the okay. Am I the asshole in this? I don't know what to do. Okay, it's not your fault that you didn't consult his wife. He should have. But I think when you had that conversation initially, you should have had both of them present. That's how I would have gone about it because everyone makes valid points here. Am I wrong for ruining my boyfriend's birthday party? My boyfriend just turned 30 and had a big party to celebrate it. I hadn't been feeling well the last couple of weeks leading up to it, but I was determined to make his birthday a great one. Due to my job and financial reasons, I haven't been able to take many days off, so I scheduled a doctor's appointment in the morning of his birthday so I could celebrate in the evening. I found out that I was pregnant during the appointment and was ecstatic. We've been trying for a baby for 6 years and I thought this would be the perfect present for him. When I got home, there were a few people already there for the party. I asked my boyfriend if we could speak in private and he ignored me. I asked again and he told me that if it was so important, I could just wait 5 minutes while he talked to his friends. So I just told him. He got extremely mad and started yelling in my face about how I was trying to ruin his day. What? He got extremely mad and started yelling in my face about how I was trying to ruin his day and that today was supposed to be about him and not me. Oh, this is gonna be your baby daddy, I'm sorry. He told all of the people there to leave and messaged everybody else not to come because I ruined the day. He then stormed out the house and still hasn't come back. I'm still so shocked and confused. He was so excited to try for a baby, but his reaction made no sense. My mom says that while it was a great surprise, I probably should have waited as it was his day. So am I the asshole?
I, 38 female, am in a weird situation with my boyfriend, 40 male, and his friend, 40 female. My boyfriend has had a very, very hard year. A few months ago, his mom got very sick. One night after work, he went out drinking with a couple of guys from work. We live together and we're in the process of packing up. Well, I was, because we were moving to a new place the following week. I was packing until close to midnight when he texted me. He said he had drank too much and just couldn't deal with getting an Uber and asked if I would pick him up 45 minutes away. Of course, I said yes. When I got to the bar, I texted him and he said he'd be out in a minute. Some girl came out and came over to the car and introduced herself to me. She said she was his very good friend. I knew her name because she'd gone to high school with him years ago, but I didn't even know that they were still in contact. And thanked me profusely for coming to pick him up because he wasn't in any shape to take an Uber. That seemed a bit odd to me because of course I'd pick him up, he's my partner. Anyway, we chatted for a minute and I apologized for my appearance, basically sweaty from packing all evening. I told her that I'd been packing for hours. She asked me if I was moving and I told her yes, we were moving to a new place next week. She seemed slightly confused, but she'd also been drinking, so I ignored that. It almost felt like she thought I was just his buddy that was kind enough to come pick him up. Meanwhile, I'm his partner. Fast forward to his mom's funeral a few weeks later. She was there and she came up to me and apologized for not being available to help him more to plan the funeral and to be his support. I told her that it was okay, no problem, but I was also thinking, huh? We didn't really need any help or support, but whatever. I thought she was just trying to be nice. A few weeks later, I noticed on Facebook that I could see him responding to someone in a thread, but I couldn't see who he was talking to. I asked him and he said that he was talking to her. I couldn't see her replies because she had blocked me. I use social media extensively for work and I know how it works, obviously. I told him that she'd blocked me. He texted her and asked her if she had, and she lied. As soon as he asked her, she unblocked me. I told him that it was very strange and he said, nah, it's obviously some glitch. Okay, whatever. Then a week later, I noticed the same thing and realized that she blocked me again. I honestly have no clue what to think about all this. It all seems very, very odd. She also mailed him a copy of an old high school yearbook. I asked him why and he said he wasn't sure, but I do realize he had to have given her his address. But also, he never even mentioned her to me previously, but meanwhile, he'd been out drinking with her. And there were guys from work there as well. Does this seem strange to anyone else? I don't want to create a thing out of nothing, especially when he's been dealing with so many issues, but I'll have to admit that it all leaves me feeling strange. I, 17, female to male, am trans and came out to my family a few months ago. All in all, everyone has been supportive, although I believe my mom was a tiny bit bummed. She said that she would always support me though. She just needs time to process all of this, which is honestly painful, but not the reason why I'm here. My mom got a tattoo with my sister's name and my dead name after I was born. It's a huge tattoo with a unique design that incorporates her and my dad's name. It covers most of her arm and she's really proud of it because my older sister designed it and gifted it to her for her birthday. Obviously, constantly seeing my dad's name is kind of triggering for me. Therefore, I told her that she needs to remove it. She seemed shocked and told me that she's too old for longer tattoo sessions. She hasn't gotten a tattoo in years because of that. She was also diagnosed with depression and such and uses it as an excuse for not having the energy to change it anymore. I don't really believe her, but whatever. Now she's often trying to cover it up with clothes, but I feel like it's not enough. Just the knowledge that that name is still there, it haunts me, but she refuses to change it. We had a lot of fights because of it, and she said that she's really trying to hide it, but it's part of her body that she's in love with because there's so much history and love for her children in that tattoo. I can't really relate because I don't have any particularly significant tattoos. Now, my birthday was a few days ago and some family came over and the issue came up because my cousin was showing off her new tattoo and someone asked about my dead name tattoo. My mom got uncomfortably silent and excused herself and went to the kitchen. So everyone started asking me what that was about and I told them that I wanted her to remove the tattoo, but she doesn't want to. My sister also doesn't want her to because she believes it would look really awful since the entire design is attached to the names and the only way to cover it would be just to make her entire arm black. Anyway, I didn't actually plan for that reaction, but my cousin, who can relate because she's queer, for some reason got furious and went after my mom and screamed at her for being so unsupportive and accused her of being transphobic. Which I don't believe, although it was nice to see someone get angry about the tattoo because my cousin was finally saying some things I was feeling, but I didn't want to put it into words. My mom then had a panic attack and left the house. She's now staying with my grandpa and my dad and sister are angry at me for making some of my family gang up on her. Am I the asshole for telling my mom to remove and change the tattoo?
Am I the asshole for recording my husband?
I, 32 female, have been married to my 36 male husband for about a month. I moved to his country after the wedding and that's where we live now. The problem is that my husband never takes my word for it or believes me about anything unless he has solid proof. For example, I'm an English teacher and English is my first language and his second. He was writing a report the other day and asked me if the word nil was spelt like N-I-L-L or with one L. I spelt it correctly for him and he decided that he still needed to Google it and make sure it was correct. The other day he went out to work and came home early exhausted. He took a nap where he snored loudly before stealing the blanket. Am I the asshole for recording my husband? I was working next to him as he slept and had to get another blanket as it was cold. I thought it was funny and I told him when he woke up. He didn't believe either thing and asked me for proof. I told him I would record him so he'd finally believe me when I spoke. Every night he falls asleep before me, so I've been recording him snoring. This morning we got onto the topic of snoring and I told him he was snoring last night, but again he didn't believe me. So I told him I had proof this time. He proceeded to get pissed off at me because I violated his privacy. He also claimed how hurtful it was and how wrong I am and how I need to see things from his perspective.
Am I the asshole for not waking up my husband for work?
Currently, our marriage is in the toilet and due to financial reasons, we can't give ourselves a separation. We've been living like roommates for the past few months and have laid down rules to give us some time and space to think. We've been together over a decade and I've always been someone who wakes up an hour or more sooner than needed. He's the type of person who will leave to the airport 20 minutes before his flight leaves. Over the years, I've been the one to wake him up since he usually sleeps through his alarms. Due to our current issues and us being more of roommates than spouses, I've stopped. I do give him a heads up when we carpool. Am I the asshole for not waking up my husband for work? On my days off, I've been trying to make sure I keep my alarms off and let him wake himself up. Over the past few months, this has resulted in him calling out of work a lot or showing up an hour or two late. I had yesterday off but forgot to turn off my alarm, so I woke up. I went back to bed 20 minutes later and nudged my husband to tell him he needed to wake up. He told me to bugger off. He ended up arriving to work 3 hours late and came home with a final write-up. He blamed me for not waking him up and also for all the write-ups, so I flipped out on him. It came down to if you don't want to be my husband, then I'm not going to treat you like one. Am I the asshole for editing my wedding photos to remove the white top my sister-in-law was wearing? First of all, why was she wearing a white top to a wedding?
I got married in June, and at my wedding, my now sister-in-law was wearing an outfit with a white top and black bottom. I didn't say anything to her at the wedding, but going through my photos with the photographer, I felt they were a bit silly. The top part of her outfit was literally the same color as my wedding dress, and in certain photos, it really made her pop out. Since they are my wedding photos, I requested the photographer to make my sister-in-law's top be grayish instead if possible. By the way, we only edited the ones where she was standing near me. When I got my finalized photos, I sent them off to my family members. My sister-in-law got upset and asked why I changed her white top. I told her she stood out too much.